it seems like you've got practices that you employ. You've got a miracle morning. You manage your kids' screen time. You seem very chill and you're like, oh, I just have this team now that does this for me. How do you integrate and not?
Is that your impression of her?
That came from love.
It's fine.
I love it. No, I was like, oh, I love it. How do you integrate more? How do you integrate extra while keeping present, being the present mom that you talk about being? And I think that's a tenet of sort of your perspective on being the best mom you can.
Yeah. No, I love that question. And I think to back up with that and say I have a team, it's because I can't do it all. I literally I think right now I'm training 3 interns, but with the scope of everyone that's helping me run my business, there's 20 people that are all really specific in doing the thing that they do really well. And I don't have to babysit them. You know what I mean? And that took years and years of development of figuring out what I have time for, and then also what is worth handing it over, knowing that I'm not as good at it as they are, and I can grow the team by investing in that time back for myself and my family, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Lesson message received.
Yes. I mean, well, we read Dare to Lead by Brene. And
that woman, Brene.
I mean, you never heard of her.
Yeah.
It was so transformative to us on how to really trust and transparently include people in your business, and how vital it is to have the right people.
But I think what you said too about how it took a long time to get there is finding the right people. That is an art form. And it takes a lot of intuition and judgment and patience and I think training.
Learning to delegate.
Yeah.
Yep.
To find people that are aligned with you specifically.
Right.
Versus just, throwing stuff at the wall.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that too often we look at that picture perfect screen of Instagram thinking, oh, this person has it all. Life is just perfect. And everyone has good days and bad days. Everyone has, days that are more weighted with work, and then also some days that are more with the family stuff and everything. So I feel like it's something where you're always in that check of figuring out what needs to be happening for you in that moment. But there are tools that we can talk about in play to really help that be more streamlined and to have more peace. Because I think, like you're saying, this last year has taught us all that we really have to take a hard look at how we're spending our time and connecting with who we are, and if our values and our time spent really line up, because that takes I think that takes reflection, and that's what this last year has given us, is a lot of reflection.
For real.
So what are some of your tips? What are some of your tricks to kind of keeping your shit together?
Okay, well, so let's start with a few. So the first one I would say is to create a really clear relationship of what it is that you're trying to get out of your day, or essentially your goal with if we're talking career or family, you need to set intentions with how you want that time to be spent before it comes. So with my family, and this is kind of a unique thing that we do, is we have weekly family meetings. And I know it sounds very formal, but it's not. We just sit down on a Sunday, and my husband and I talk first and say, okay, this is what's coming up for the week. This is what we have going on. But recently we just talked about how every summer I'll do a summer bucket list with the family, and each person goes around and says, oh, I loved when we did this last year. Let's do this again. And it's funny to hear what your kids will say versus what you think they might say. Where they'll just be like, I just really want to get a snow cone. That would make summer for me,
it's never camp. No matter how much we tell ourselves it's camp, it's never summer camp.
I can tell you exactly what my son will say, and it will be Great Wolf Lodge.
yeah, that's great. I wanted to go there. So what's really interesting about it is I've found if we don't write it down, if we don't make it a priority, it's not going to happen with our time. That applies to a season, a week, or a day. So we realized recently with being, inside with the pandemic and everything, that we weren't really creating those moments that were like, oh, we have something to look forward to. Look at this list we have to use our time well. And so we thought, okay, let's make a winter bucket list, because we've never done that before. And so we did the same thing, wrote up a list, prioritized it, talked to the kids, what would you want in that list? And then we do that. But so that's part of it. But then in those family meetings, we bring in our kids one at a time, and we talk to them about how their week has went, what they think they've done well as far as, you know, getting along with other siblings or schoolwork or prepping for gymnastics meet or whatever that might be. And then we say, well, what goals do you want to set going forward? And how do you think you're doing? We ask a lot of questions to each of them. And then we set intentions for the week. And so what's really cool about setting intentions and talking to them one-on-one is yesterday I went to drop off my kids and I said, okay, remind me what your goal was for this week. And for my daughter, it was to talk to friends at recess. She's really shy. And so even at recess, they can take off their masks, but because she's so shy, she's comfortable keeping it on. So we made a goal, take off your mask and ask this one friend 1 or 2 questions. And we practice what the questions would be. And so she says, oh yeah, my goal was to talk to friends at recess. And for my son, he made the goal himself that he was going to help around the house more. And I didn't give him that idea. Yeah, I know.
Can I have your son?
Well, let's be transparent here. He wants to help out in the house so that he can have screen time because he knows that if he puts in that effort with us, then he'll get that special time. And it's an exchange of goods.
Special Roblox time.
Exactly. How did you know? Roblox and Minecraft.
Oh, I know.